Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hey everybody, this is Theresa Augustinelli live with you on Coach's Corner. Today is Friday. Y'all know what that means. We have a special guest and we're going to take a few minutes to encourage you, inspire you. We're going to have a huddle, so to speak, so that we can offer you some transformational, motivational, and inspirational topics of conversation. Like I always say, grab your peanut butter and jelly. Grab your coffee, your tea, your favorite beverage. I don't know where you are in the world, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And with me today is a very good friend, a colleague of mine, and a business strategist that you want to hear from today, my good friend Thomas. Hi, Thomas. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. How are you, Theresa?
I'm doing well. So for those of you who may not know, I'm in the state of Pennsylvania in the greater Philadelphia area of the United States. And we had a very substantial snow, which I'm okay with that. We need to have some change in the weather. However, my friend Thomas, who is in Atlanta, Georgia, you all have cold weather too. Tell me a little bit about it.
Hey, y'all, it's cold here. Yes. Yeah, I think that northeasterner that they call it, that hit the northeast coast of the United States, extended a little bit further than the northeast. So we're feeling it. It's about 30 degrees here with some wind chill.
Is that common for Georgia?
I think the thing they say about Georgia, and they probably say about some other places, just wait till tomorrow and it'll be a different day. Because it's actually 12 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday.
Wow. Okay. So what's the normal temperature in Georgia for those who may not know about Georgia weather?
Well, I would say this time of the year, in December, the expectation should be that it's in the 40s with some, pretty cool to cold temperatures at night. And we've had a real mild winter so far. So as you said, there's nothing to complain about. I can deal with it.
Well, it is Christmas time where I live, so I'm happy with a white Christmas. I'll be okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Thomas, I want to talk to you a little bit about, you have such a vast history, and you have such a huge arena of resources to pull from. So first of all, tell us the name of your company, which is Greenhorn. Love it. You taught me something new. Tell me about your company and how you came up with the name Greenhorn.
Okay, so it is Greenhorn Advantage, and that word Greenhorn actually is a term that was used to describe new learners, inexperienced people. We've heard the term, oh, he's green or she's green, to indicate that they're new. So the word greenhorn actually has that same meaning and same connotation. And I left my corporate job as a training manager for an airline in 2010. And I left with the sole purpose of saying, I'm going to start my own individual training business. And I want the perspective that I bring to my clients and those that I serve to be that I'm always learning. I always have a new learner perspective. And some of the times that meant I was dealing with new employees, people that were learning, and they really truly were new. But sometimes I was dealing with people who had been around for a while, and my whole emphasis was to help them to understand that you should always be in that new learner mode.
Yep, I love that. And so one of my favorite speakers among many, Les Brown, who has been saying learners are earners. And I love that because now with COVID-19, many of us, like we'll talk about in a moment, have had to learn new skills, pivot, learn some new ways to earn an income. And so I love that you love the word learn, because I do believe that moving forward, we are all going to have to learn some new ways to survive and thrive in these turbulent times. So what kinds of strategies does Greenhorn offer?
Well, let me kind of say it from the position of where we were, if I could, because it started out that I was just doing training, and most of that training, 95% of that training was some form of technical training. So I had a technical background. I was an aircraft maintenance manager, both in the Air Force, and then I did some maintenance and engineering work for the airline. And so fortunately had a technical background that served me to learn other technical things. But it was actually in 2015 that I started to thinking about how I could make a shift, if you will, from more technical and move towards leadership and development and personal growth. And maybe a little bit later, I'll be able to tell you how that has even evolved even more. But certainly 2020, because I did a lot of traveling. My wife, she's put a smile on her face, but I knew in her heart she would have much rather me to be at home. So the business now looks more like online mastermind groups, workshops, virtual seminars, and I'm still evolving in that. I'm still working towards that, but I see that as the way that the business is going to go forward. Again, both for the satisfaction of my family, and that's the way the world. I believe that's where we're going. I mean, that's where we are. How about that?
Yeah, and so did you say you served in the Air Force?
Yes, I did.
Thank you for serving.
We do it all over again.
Honored to have you. My husband is Army 25th Infantry.
Awesome.
And yes, we are going the way of virtual, which again, my viewers, my listeners know that I'm learning this as we go. In fact, I want to give a shout out to Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, who is behind the scenes today. And he is making sure this goes everywhere it needs to go. Because as I said earlier with Thomas, we were talking earlier, I've been doing this for quite a while now, and no two broadcasts have been the same. So for those of you who have been following me and watching with me and going with me, I think today is probably the first day that I've actually got it going where it needs to go. And that's thanks to Yardell from Perkatech. So he's behind the scenes, but I know he can see and hear me. Thank you. So Thomas, you worked for an airline, right?
Yep, I did.
You were in the Air Force. You worked for Coca-Cola. You're an IT guy.
Yeah. Starting to sound like I can't hold a job.
No, because listen, I'm in the same position. When that's that entrepreneurial spirit I think we both have in our blood. Tell me about, first of all, I know that one thing you love most of everything that you do, because it's very obvious in your demeanor, is your family. Tell me about your family.
Well, wow. Do we have enough time for that? I'll certainly keep it short.
We're good.
Yeah. So my wife, she's a doll. She don't think that sometimes, My personality, for those who've heard of DISC, the DISC personality assessment, my personality on the DISC profile is not a high D, not a Paul Martinelli D, but a DC. And so the D in me can really rise up when I feel like, you're kind of dragging your feet. And so my wife, she said, "You hard," but I love her. She really brings out great things in me. I have one daughter. She's actually a psychologist as well. She's a child psychologist, and have one grandson. So, yeah. So they are a significant part of my why.
Yeah, your why. And so for those who may not understand what the DISC is, that is a great leadership assessment tool for you, your family, your kids, your team, yourself. And so let's quick tell everybody what it means. The D is the dominant trait. Mm-hmm. The I is
influencing.
The influencer trait. The S is the
S tends to be a very stable, steady, supportive person. They want to see you do well.
The steady. Yep. And then the C is the
C is very critical. Your thinkers, your engineers, the very detailed people. Everything's in the detail for them. Sounds like a great idea, but give me the details, right?
And that's my strongest is the C.
Okay.
I am the C, and then the S and the I.
Okay.
So that is a great assessment. I highly recommend. Reach out to Thomas. I'll get you his information if you want to take that assessment and learn your personality style. It is a very common, important assessment tool. Yeah. We can send Thomas information if you want that. Yeah. So then, with all of your vast knowledge and your different kinds of things that you've been on, tell me about how you ended up being a coach with the Don Maxwell team.
Well, so as I indicated earlier, I had this, and I'll say this because you talked about having that entrepreneurial spirit, and that was in me, and I'm still trying to figure out how to bring it forward, the way that it really should be. But all throughout the time I was in the Air Force, I was in Amway, I've been in Legal Shield, you name it, and I've done well. But I was always looking, and so I was the training manager at the airline, and actually even before then, when I was a trainer, I was fortunate, really blessed that one day someone saw me working with some other people and said, "You ever thought about being a trainer?" And I said, "No," right? Not even on my radar. And they kept pushing. And so I tried they had a trial period to be a trainer, and I did, and they was like, "We'd like you to stay here." So I actually found my passion by coincidence. And it really wasn't by coincidence, right? But it was someone who saw something in me that I didn't even realize that's where, I was supposed to be. So when I made the decision to leave the airline, I said, I'm going to start a business training. I can do this on my own. And so that was in 2010. And I left the airline in January. In March, I had my first contract with Coca-Cola. And I've been back and forth working for different companies, providing them training. A lot of companies like contract trainers because they don't have to own you. They can just utilize your service. So I did that. And it was in 2015 that a friend of mine who also worked at the airline as a corporate trainer, I saw that she was part of John Maxwell team. And I thought, wow, I don't know. It was just, it wasn't just a thought. It was something that spoke specifically to me and says, that's where you need to go.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it was for me. I have a colleague who is also on the executive um, board of the John Maxwell team. And we met, and he encouraged me because at the time, being a private practitioner in my own private practice for mental health,
Yeah.
teaching at a local university, he said, have you ever thought about being a corporate trainer or, a coach? And I thought, I don't know. And he introduced me to the John Maxwell certification. And I have to tell you, just the people that I've met, the caliber of people in the John Maxwell team certification, the values were similar to mine, adding value to those you serve, the resources, the strategic certification modules, the resources we have available like none other. So I'm very grateful that I've been able to have that umbrella over me as a trainer. And so with the certification of John Maxwell team, being a coach, a leader, a trainer, I was in a position of pivoting my business to go fully into corporate training. And then COVID hit, and I was forced to pivot again. So how did COVID-19 affect your bottom line for you?
That has been significant. That's probably not even a fair question. If I say that, I might scare some people, but it has.
We're all in it. We're all feeling it because it's a trickle-down effect. People don't realize that, this is what I've been helping people who call me daily, who are suffering and struggling, and they're questioning their next move. We're all in it, and it has affected everyone from the top down, even to those of us who make their bread and butter, networking, training, coaching. Yeah. So tell me about your experience.
Well, so, that's an awesome question. I thank you for it. Let me say this. I've heard you say this. So I want you to know that you're being heard. Sometimes even when you don't think you're being heard, and you didn't say this today, you said that you think that we are in a fear pandemic. Yeah. And, there's a lot, we could do a whole show on that one about fear.
I'm going to have you back.
But I think that's a true assessment of how fear presents itself to try to derail us, if you will, or to get us off our purpose, off track. And, I think one of the essential things is because I am about being positive and a positive mental attitude, that you have to not let fear, and I'm not saying it's not going to come because I've experienced it, right? It's going to come. But you have to make sure that you make the fear serve you. And again, that's not as easy to do as I just said it, right? But we have a saying in my house that hard is not an excuse, right? So you really have to make that fear serve you and you not become a servant or a slave to it. So even in my business, even though, I don't want to give the false impression that things are just soaring, I'm not sinking either. And I'm still in the middle of a pivot. I remember the learning director at Coca-Cola, he told me this because we over time developed a real great relationship. And in all honesty, when I first started doing work for them, he was hesitant about me because I wasn't from the inside. I was the first person that they had ever brought from the outside to try to do their technical training. And so he was explaining to me about changes in that massive organization. He says, it's not like, because I worked for a smaller airline, he said, it's not like it was there. He says, we may be turning, but because it's like a big ship, it's hard to tell that we're actually turning until we're going in the other direction. So, yeah, I'm pivoting, some people may look at it and say, I don't look like you're doing anything different. But here's what I love, and then I'm gonna shut up. Is it's not about perfection, and I noticed that. I admire you and how you and the Coach's Corner are going forward. I know you're planning on rolling out something else on Thursdays, so I'll let you share that. But it's not about perfection. It's about continuous progress.
Yeah, and I love that. And that is one of the things I've learned through this COVID-19. You know, if you don't shoot the basket, you won't make the basket.
That's right.
So at least I'm shooting, because I'm going to either shoot us into a win or right out of the game.
I love that analogy.
I'm shooting. And that's what I've been helping people with. So thank you for that. I'm glad you're watching. And no, it isn't about perfection. It is about valuing others. It is about being value-centered, people-centered. And I think that's what's important. That's at least what I'm trying to do. Yeah, a couple of things were lining up. But so tell me, Thomas, what do you see moving forward? I know we had spoken earlier this morning, and you said something so important. You're not traveling the way you used to, but you're okay with that, and that's where we are. So what do you see for the future for businesses?
For businesses in general?
Yeah.
I really do think that.
How business?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Maybe how we're going to do business. What do you see?
Yeah. I think, I'll say for me personally, I'm gonna have to live what I've been preaching for a while. And I think that's true for businesses. And so what is that you've been preaching, Thomas, is that you have to embrace change.
There you go.
And most people, it's been my experience that most people, they shun change. They see change and they like being where they are, and it's comfortable, it's warm, and they want to stay there. But the one thing that you can always depend on, the one thing you can always depend on is that there's going to be change. And so I have to make a decision. Am I going to fight it, or am I going to embrace it? And I developed that, again, teaching people technical stuff, because a lot of times people have been around and they don't understand, why does it need to change? It works just fine, because we're trying to make it better.
Okay, love that. So 2 more questions. I could talk to you for hours. I want to be considerate of your time. Okay. Because I'm doing this Coach's Corner specifically for personal and professional growth. That's why I'm so passionate about every Friday.
Yeah.
Why now, Thomas, would you say to somebody, your personal growth is key to your success? Why are we saying that?
Ooh, boy, you teed that one up, and someone's gonna think we talked about it, but we didn't.
You got it.
Let me tell you, and I think our connection through John Maxwell, who I know I'm biased. For those of you who are watching this either live or watching it on a replay, but he is undoubtedly the best leadership mind that exists. And I believe that. And I've had a few leaders, and I can think of one in the Air Force. And when I say one, I've had some great leaders, but I can think of one that stood out head and shoulders above the rest. His name was Jan Eddieburn, the most phenomenal mind of a leader that I had ever experienced. And John Maxwell is certainly that person. And John says, so take it from someone who's a guru, he says, the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better is through growth. personal growth. So at this time, because we don't know what tomorrow looks like. We didn't know what 2020 was going to look like. But if you always leaning in and you have a mindset that says, I have to be growing me. I have to be growing me, because that's the only thing that you really can control in the moment, then that will prepare you for whatever change might come.
I love that. And so many people are suffering right now. They're struggling. They're very fearful. And coronavirus is real. We know that. But I do, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because my listeners do know, my viewers, they know that my platform right now is, we have more of a pandemic of fear than anything else right now. And I have so many mentors, coaches, business advisors. I can pick up the phone any time of day and call somebody. Hey, what do you think of this? Hey, can you give me a resource on that? Hey, this is where I'm struggling today. That is a blessing. So professional and personal growth is key. And one of my mentors, Mark Cole, love being on those calls. He said something so inspirational on a call one day to us. He said, I don't want you, meaning us, his mentees, his team of listeners, I don't want you making decisions for your business based on fear.
Right. That's true. Can I say this?
Go ahead.
So COVID is real.
Mm-hmm.
Last Friday, I took my father-in-law to the hospital. Oh, not to the hospital, to the urgent care clinic, because he wasn't feeling good. And so we ride, and I take him, and we couldn't get in. So we spent 2 hours together, riding around, sitting in the car. He tested positive. So I am actually quarantining now, right? I'm upstairs, and I don't go near my wife right now because I'm quarantining for 14 days. But yet still, we have to choose what kind of mindset we're going to have about it. And we want to keep growing. And I love what you said about the people that you can pick up the phone and call, because who you around right now is important. Jim Rohn says you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around.
Love that. Jim Rohn, great guy. Yes, great speaker. Yeah. So that is something that's very important for personal growth.
Yeah.
Who you hanging around with. All right. So as we wrap up, Thomas, what would you say to people today who are looking at 2021 going, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if my business is going to make it. What would you say?
I would say the number one thing, and again, I'm sounding biased, get yourself a good voice to listen to, whether that be a coach, because again, depending on where we are, we may need something different, but it could be a coach. It could be a mental health therapist. It could be a friend who has the right perspective. But even in my family, if you have what I call NMA, negative mental attitude, as opposed to PMA, I'm going to avoid you. I'm not going to call them out on this show today, but I have some people, even in my family, that my exposure to them is limited.
Okay. And that reminds me of another, what I love hearing John Maxwell says often, good leaders know the way, show the way, and go the way.
Right.
And that's what I think people are looking for now more than ever, are leaders who know where they're going to take you with them, and going to show you how to get there. And I believe that with all my heart, now more than ever. We don't need leaders. We need great leaders, authentic leaders.
Right.
And that's what I see in you. So what would be the best kind of client for you?
Well, Boy, certainly the best kind of client would be one who already has the awareness that they want to be better. And I say that because my business Facebook page, Greenhorn Advantage, growing from good to great, is really about getting better. See, even when I get to great, my pursuit should be better. And so someone who has that awareness would be my ideal client. But if you don't have that awareness, then we'll work on getting you to a place where you are aware that, hey, I want to move, I want to grow, and I want to be somewhere other than where I am today.
I love that. So on that note, Thomas, we're going to get your information out to people. I'm hoping that all of our John Maxwell team colleagues and friends have been watching. I hope that you have gained some value from listening to us. Unfortunately, our time is up.
Yeah.
And Thomas, thank you so much for your time today. You're such an inspiration, and you are such a joy to talk to. You're very much, and you have a great sense of humor. That's my little tidbit for everybody today. You'll get through this. Keep your sense of humor. It's a gift from God.
Yeah.
So, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you,
Theresa. Thank you.
Now, next Friday is Christmas, so we will not have a Coach's Corner. I have a few things lined up. I will be coming at you live here and there throughout the next week. It is my desire to keep you connected and to allow you to grow, because in order to be better, you got to do better.
Yeah.
And we're all going to make it. I know it. Yeah. I feel it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.